specifically digital identity, Mike?
Yes, you'll be glad to know, everybody will be glad to know that Companies House has decided that it will start implementing the government's One Login system. And if you remember, One Login is making sure that everybody can, they describe it as the new, straightforward, secure way to access government digital services. It allows users to access a range of central government services using just one account, one username and one password. That means that none of us will need to provide information multiple times. So convenience is the method of the day here. Now, so far, the areas that you can already use One Login include if you want to apply for your HM Armed Forces Veterans Card, if you want to get a driving license, if you want to become a registered social worker in England, if you want to be taking part in the Apprenticeship Assessment Service, or to check if a health condition affects your driving, or to claim compensation if you were a victim of violent crime, or early years child development in training, find an apprenticeship in the UK, find and apply for a grant, find a UK market conformity assessment body, and so on, and also manage apprenticeships. The list goes on. But anyway, Companies House getting involved in this. So the other thing to note here is that they mention that basically they will require this login, this one login, once they've gone through a private beta process and then a public beta process. And the reason for that is that under the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act that you can see on screen at the moment, anyone setting up, running, owning or controlling a company in the UK will need to verify their identity to prove who they are and who they claim to be. And so, as I say, once this public beta is complete, every user signing in to the Find and Update Company Information Service will need to use One Login. But if we remember back to the previous Tory regime here, and they were highlighting the issue of digital ID, and they were trying to bat off a bunch of claims that people were making on the internet and so on. And so they created a frequently asked questions. And the claim here that they were trying to bat off was that using One Login would be mandatory. And they said at the time, no, having a UK government One Login account will not be mandatory for UK citizens. Offline and face-to-face routes will be available for individuals who do not want to use the online service. So I've asked Companies House whether, in fact, that will be the case, whether they will be providing alternative access, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them. They are going to give me that information, and I'll report back in due course. But in the meantime, of course, other companies or other organisations within the government continuing to fail at providing this alternative access. So this is HMRC customer service at all-time low as phone line wait gets longer. That was from February this year. And I just want to mention the possibility that One Login is being rolled out, but perhaps you can go to the post office as an alternative. This is what they were suggesting. I haven't seen anything actually officially announced that this is a service available already, but I'm going to suggest that in fact digital ID is going to be a requirement for using the One Login system, and that is going to be a requirement for accessing government services increasingly.
Absolutely. By hook or by crook, it does seem exactly that's the way it's going. And I'm just going to sort of effectively extend this theme by referring to a government document about enabling the use of digital identities. And we hear a lot about the enabling, and the government effectively suggesting that they are going to be doing this themselves, which is why there's a big red arrow saying we're working to help people securely prove who they are without having to rely on physical documents. So again, hanging everything on the apparent desire for convenience. And this falls under DCIT, the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. And they seem to be suggesting to everybody that it's the most frightful bore to have to repeatedly present physical documents, and that the government is not making digital identities mandatory. So there's very much a theme. History suggests that when somebody says something like that, they absolutely mean it will be mandatory. and probably the most effective mechanism is by what one might be termed a lock-out, so that if you haven't done such a thing, you simply can't use the services that other people would be able to. So now we're going to look into how this gets certified. It's all very well the government saying they're doing it, but who actually underpins this? Who's providing the background to it? And this was updated on Monday, the list of digital identity and attribute services who are now certified against what's called the UK Digital Identity and Attributes Trust Framework. Now, in order to make this work, or at least to be able to judge it, because of course artificial intelligence plays its part in this, they have gone to Advai or Advai, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, but it's the Advanced Evaluation of AI-Powered Identity Verification Systems, and they claim that AI is core to online identity verification. As the complexity of verification tools have advanced, so too have the methods to deceive them. And again, they state that sort of passively, but actually it's such an enormous consideration in this, in that with every advance, so too is there a counter advance by effectively the cyber criminal capability. Nonetheless, the new kid on the block, as it were, is Sumsub. They've just been certified in the UK as a trusted identity verification services provider. So that's from August the 23rd. And going back to who exactly it is that is deciding whether or not an identity is valid, they talk about having a framework which aims to create a trusted environment where digital identities can be confidently used by individuals and organizations, thus enhancing security, privacy, and efficiency in digital transactions such as financial operations or online government services, exactly like Mike's been talking about. So it seems pertinent to wonder who is behind such an organisation. Who are the people that are running these organisations? What is their pedigree? Well, Sumsub appears to be the brainchild of somebody called Jacob Sever, or at least is he called Jacob Sever? This is his LinkedIn profile, upon which is listed no other experience at all. This is the only thing he has shown there. And Companies House shows that in actual fact it's called Sum and Substance, and that his name now seems to be Yakov Severikin. Now, I've highlighted the fact that not only is he Israeli, but he doesn't live in the United Kingdom. He's from Cyprus, and he is the sole director of a company with a £31 million turnover, which strikes me as an unlikely situation. Among the persons of significant control, they are all called Severikin, or at least at some point or another. Now, it seems somewhat ironic when we're dealing with digital identity that there seem to be at least 4 spellings of the surname, but they appear to be a family business, 2 twin brothers and another, perhaps cousin, perhaps a brother. But this is who we are going to be submitting control of our lives to, and companies like this, which need to have no tie to the United Kingdom beyond registration with Companies House. Also, of course, they're offering secure face authentication for the banking industry. And again, we have the idea that it's so safe and it's so convenient. So they talk about biometric checks for digital banking, but what we really have to be bearing in mind here is facial recognition, because of course this capability, whilst it might be used to apparently protect bank accounts, has many other applications. And just to demonstrate that, they say that they have 99% pass rate. I would say that actually if 1% of people can't use this technology, that's a fail, but nonetheless they seem to be advertising it as a good thing. I've highlighted that they say they work with various nationalities. That's a little bit mincing their words there, seemingly not all nationalities, but also as if to say that, you know, you can't trick facial recognition. They say it works with glasses, beards, and makeup. And also now, more significantly, they say that they're now the first verification provider to achieve global identity certification. So they've gone a step up from just dealing with UK identity, but earlier, they made a reference to finance, and I just wanted to go back to that because they've now partnered with Finastra, the financial platform technology provider, sort of payments solution provider with software to support that. And the reason that's significant is that on the Finastra website, published recently in May of this year, there's the question asked, where will UK payments be in the next 10 years? And it is an article worth looking at, but what I've picked out is this chunk from a paragraph here, which says currently the top 3 priorities for UK financial services firms are open banking, the new payments architecture under review by HM Treasury, and the central bank digital currency, CBDC. The review suggests that it will take at least 5 years and a total cost of between 10 billion and 20 billion to deliver this payments roadmap. So it seems little coincidence that a company partnered with Finastra specifically with the intent of enabling a central bank digital currency would be chosen as a trusted provider of an identity verification service by the UK government. Where exactly this is going to go is hard to determine as yet, but it does not look like it's going in a very good direction. So I'll close off that segment there. And I think,
well, just before we move on, I just wanted to get a comment from you, Vanessa, because once again, we have right at the core of, technology, an Israeli company, or at least backed by Israelis. I wonder where they got their seed capital from. I'll take a wild stab in the dark and say Unit 8200, but I don't know that off the top of my head. But I just wondered if you had any comments on that.
Well, I mean, whether it's Unit 8200 or another one of the intelligence agencies, we know that, virtually all the population in Israel has gone through or is part of the military services. So, I mean, it's a pretty good guess, Mike, and that's certainly the first thing that sort of jumped to my mind.
Yes. Okay. Well, look, we will end with this little bit of irony. So this is a screenshot from a part of the Daily Mail website yesterday. And I'm just going to highlight, first of all, the article at the top, because the headline on this is, I'm 21, and by the way, I'm reading this verbatim. I'm 21 and I clean hoarder homes for a living. This is why I do it. And the moment I found a £20,000 item, I found under a mouldy carpet. Now, that may not have made any sense to anybody. That's because the sentence doesn't make, or the headline doesn't make any sense. So that was the top of that little block of articles on the front page of the Mail. And then as we scroll down the bottom, we find an article here saying, the next time you spell check, these unfortunate typos show the importance of proofreading. And I just thought the irony in that was spectacular by the Daily Mail. Perhaps they should take their own advice and do a little bit of a better job at proofreading their own material. And we will leave you to think about that for today.
Absolutely, Mike. Thanks very much indeed for joining me. Thank you all for joining us. Vanessa, thank you too. Now, don't forget the interview with Claire Wilshausen going out at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And of course, please get your tickets for the October event if you have not already done so. But otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.